The year is 1960. Nigeria, our beloved country, is taking its first breath of independence. The air crackles with hope and the promise of a brighter future. I am a young woman then, filled with dreams for myself and my nation. Life is simple and the price of petrol is a distant thought. A non-issue in our daily lives. Back then, petrol was cheap, very cheap. It was a time when owning a car was a symbol of prosperity, a dream many nursed but few achieved. Public transportation, bicycles, and walking were the order of the day. The price of fuel, while a consideration, did not dominate our conversations. We were a nation on the move, focused on building ourselves up. The government, newly free from colonial rule, took control of the oil industry. They promised us, the people, that our oil wealth would be used to improve our lives. Education, healthcare, infrastructure. These were the things that filled our conversations, fueled our hopes, and defined our dreams. Little did we know then that the price of petrol would become so intricately woven into the fabric of our lives. The 1970s arrived, bringing with them the scent of crude oil and the promise of untold riches. The global oil crisis had transformed Nigeria into a key player on the world stage. Money flowed into the country, and for the first time, we dared to dream big. The government, flush with oil money, subsidized petrol heavily. It was a time of abundance, and the low cost of fuel was a point of national pride. Cars became more common, a symbol of our newfound prosperity. We drove with a sense of freedom, the open road mirroring the limitless possibilities that we saw for our nation. But beneath the veneer of prosperity, cracks were beginning to show. Our reliance on oil made us vulnerable to the fluctuations of the global market. Corruption began to rear its ugly head, siphoning away our oil wealth. Still, for the average Nigerian, life was good, petrol was cheap, and the future seemed bright. The 1980s arrived like a rude awakening. The global oil glut hit Nigeria hard, exposing the fragility of our oil-dependent economy. The naira, our currency, plummeted in value. The government, struggling to cope with the economic crisis, was forced to make difficult decisions. Gone were the days of cheap petrol. The subsidies that had cushioned us from the true cost of fuel were gradually reduced. Queues at petrol stations became a common sight, a stark reminder of the economic hardship that had gripped the nation. The cost of transportation skyrocketed, impacting the price of food and other essential commodities. For ordinary Nigerians, life became a struggle to make ends meet. The dreams we had dared to dream in the heady days of the oil boom seemed to slip further away. Yet, even in the face of adversity, the Nigerian spirit endured. We tightened our belts, found creative ways to cope, and never lost hope for a brighter future. The 1990s were a turbulent period in our nation's history. Military coups, political instability, and social unrest characterized the decade. The economy remained fragile, and the petrol pricing issue continued to be a source of contention. The government, grappling with dwindling oil revenues and a restive population, attempted to deregulate the oil sector. These attempts were met with stiff resistance from labor unions and civil society groups who feared that deregulation would lead to further hardship for the masses. The price of petrol became a political hot potato, a symbol of the struggle between the government and the governed. Through it all, the Nigerian people learned to adapt. We became accustomed to uncertainty, to the ever-present possibility of sudden changes in government policy and the impact these changes would have on our daily lives. We developed a resilience, a capacity to endure and overcome adversity that would serve us well in the years to come.